For the first time in Lady Steno podcast history, we have a repeat guest. Yes, ladies and gents, Kim Xavier is everything amazing, and so we had to bring her back on. Now, Kim, are you ready to go on the record? So let's pick off from where we were last. And a lot has happened since our last episode. I heard that you received a nomination for president elect of the Texas Court Reporters Association. Is that right?
Yes, I did, and I'm really excited about that.
So tell us a little bit, what is president elect? What are the duties?
Well, first of all, if elected as president elect, I would actually be sworn in as president in 2020. So the duties of the president elect, if I'm sworn in as president elect this year, would be to assist the president and the board in all matters of our business. But if sworn in as president, then there are a lot of specific duties listed in our governing documents. But I believe that the ultimate role of president should be to lead other leaders and guide all of our members in advocating for the profession. Now, that's not to say that presidents don't have a vision for some things they want to accomplish during their term, but at the end of the day, the leaders around you and your members also have to buy into that vision as well, because no president can accomplish anything alone. So really, as president elect, I'll kind of be in training to be president.
And so obviously this is a voted position. Now, who can vote and when is it time to vote?
Well, you must be a member of the Texas Court Reporters Association, a professional member of the Texas Court Reporters Association, in order to vote. And the vote is going to happen on September 6th at our annual convention in Austin at 8 a.m. in the morning. So if you're not a member, please go ahead and join so you can vote.
Other than being able to vote for who is on the board, what are some other reasons that a Texas court reporter or any professional stenographer in Texas should be part of the association, should have a membership in the association? Why is that important?
Well, at the end of the day, Texas Court Reporters Association advocates for all court reporters in the state of Texas. Whether you are a member or not, you are receiving benefit from that. But what I'd like for anyone who's a non-member to understand is that numbers matter, and we can do so much more when our numbers are bigger and when our volunteer force is bigger. So you're receiving those benefits already. And so we need everyone to be all in and pay your dues so that you can help the association grow and build. Because think about it, we've done some great things up to this point. Think about what we could do if we had even a quarter more of the court reporters in Texas as members.
Well, you said benefits. What are those benefits?
Well, one of the biggest benefits to being a TCRA member is that we employ a lobbyist. Many state associations are not able to do that. This lobbyist is able to go to Austin during legislative session and watch out for our interests. So it's a really big thing for us to be able to do that. And that's where your membership dues come in to be able to help us do that. And you're also exposed to so many opportunities for networking within the state, because we do have events throughout the year. And just the idea of being a part of something bigger than yourself, to me, is a great benefit.
You mentioned the membership dues, and I know you were once on the budget committee. How long ago were you on the budget committee for the TCRA?
Well, I'm currently on the budget committee. I co-chair the budget committee, and I'm learning so much through that experience as well, because a lot of times we feel like associations are making all of this money and we don't know where it's going. So being able to volunteer in positions like that really helps us understand what's going on with our money. So for TCRA, we actually employ staff. So we have to pay our staff. We have office space. We have to pay for office space and things like lights and utilities, just like you do at home. And so, like I said, that lobbyist, there are so many things that your money can be used for that eventually benefits you. Not to mention when there are events or things that we can go and set up at, say, a booth or something like that, then the board would be able to determine whether the budget can support things like that. So it all goes back to membership. The more membership, the more membership dues, and the more we can do with those dues in order to educate and advocate for the profession.
You mentioned volunteering. So this is an unpaid position where you're co-chairing on the budget committee?
Yes, all committee positions, all board positions are unpaid positions. Everybody is a volunteer. We only have one staff member currently who is our executive director. And so everybody else is volunteering. We're all going in there, all in to help everybody in the state. And so the more people we have that volunteer, then the less we all have to do, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. But now I'm trying to understand something because I thought you were on the board before. Did you take a break or something?
Yeah, I did. I actually went onto the board as an area director in 2015, and I finished a 2-year term. And then I was nominated for vice president of public relations for 2017, and I completed that 1-year term. And so I was on the board for 3 consecutive years, and I received a nomination, or I was asked to serve again as vice president of finance. And I decided at that time that for personal reasons, that was not the road I needed to take. And so this year I have taken a break. And I can say that that was the best thing that I could have done for me and for the association, is have myself together and ready to take on the role of president-elect if I'm elected to do so.
Well, Kim, don't really mean to pry too much, but could you actually kind of give us a little details on why you felt like you needed to take a break? I mean, I know you said it was personal, but do you mind sharing a little bit?
Sure, I think that's actually a pretty fair question. When I went on the board in 2015, TCRA was going through what I would consider a rocky period. And anyone who was a member at that time knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the 3 years that I was on the board was actually, the whole 3 years was a pretty rocky time. And so I felt that for me, I needed to take a step back because it was such an intense period of volunteer service. I needed to take a step back from that based on some things that were going on in my life and some other projects I had going as well. And because I really do believe that I need to be able to give my all to any volunteer position, any professional volunteer position, I should say. I need to be able to give my all, especially at the level of being on the board. And so I knew I could feel burnout coming at the time that I decided to leave the board. And a lot of people may look at it as stepping down. And I've heard that term, stepping down, and it's actually inaccurate. I actually completed my term, and I completed it with excellence, if I will say so myself. And taking this break, as I said, has been a very rejuvenating time. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to get back in there and rock and roll and ready to go.
Well, this kind of reminds me of what you spoke about at the last TCRA seminar in spring about stress management and balancing life and work. How are you able to manage your stress and balance your full-time position as an official reporter and also your family time? And I know you have your other projects going on and these leadership positions. How do you do it all?
You know, it's going to sound corny, but I live and die by my little shiny notebook that I write everything down in now. And I struggle sometimes to do that because we all think that we're going to remember things. So for me, it's writing things down and then prioritizing. Of course, God and family come first, and then my job, and then my volunteer positions. And so you just have to prioritize things day by day and do what you can do in a day. And it's been a challenge to make sure that I do seize every day from the beginning of that day and completing tasks, because sometimes we can easily put off things that we should be doing today. We can put them off for tomorrow, and then something can happen tomorrow. So that's really the biggest challenge, is just seizing the day, prioritizing, and getting as much done as you can in a day.
So definitely prioritize over procrastinate.
Yes. And then, you know, when it comes to volunteering, I think it is important to know when to say no, because we don't always have to say yes. I mean, sometimes people will try to guilt us into thinking, oh, you're the only one that can do this, that, or the other. But in reality, sometimes if you step aside, it gives someone else an opportunity to do something great.
Well, speaking of opportunities and being great, Why do you feel that you are a great candidate for the position of president-elect and therefore president of the TCRA?
Oh, well, that's a really great question. You're making me think now. So, I mean, I think that my body of work speaks for itself. I've been a court reporter for 25 years, and I've pretty much stepped into leadership positions early on, and I've continued to do that over the course of my career. One of the main things that I think is one of my strengths is that I have a strong connection to students and new court reporters, which are going to be, they are going to be what saves court reporting. And I think that it's important that we build them up and make sure that we are building leaders. I'm very big on that. And so throughout my career, when I look back on it, my thing has always been to connect with those people who are newer in the field, as opposed to just relying on the ones who have always done the work. I think we all need to do our share of the work, and that includes our newbies. They can do things too, and sometimes they will have the best ideas, but someone needs to pull that out of them. And I think that that is one of my strengths.
Absolutely. And you mentioned students and building up students. The TCRA, they have a student committee, right?
We do.
So how can students now start taking leadership positions within their school or within the TCRA itself?
Well, I think the best thing that a student can do in Texas or otherwise is make a connection with some type of court reporting organization, whether it be a local association, state, or national. And once they do that, they're going to find someone that can relate to them. And hopefully that someone will be able to help them along in those steps. They'll see what leaders do, what leaders are supposed to do. And we would hope they would take that back to their schools and maybe even create student associations so that they can have a voice in what's going on in the industry, because it has to start somewhere. They don't have to wait until they're professionals. They can be doing things now because they have opinions. Things affect them. And so we need to hear from them. But if they're not connected to us, then it's harder for us to make sure that we are managing our resources in a way that's going to benefit them.
Do you think most people have the capacity to become a leader?
I do. I think most do, but I think most do not want to. I think most people want to help. Let me say it like that. Most people want to help, but they would prefer that someone just tell them what to do, because at the end of the day, none of us want to be responsible for something that fails, like for a project that fails. But I will help you, you know what I mean? But I don't want to be held responsible if something goes wrong. That's largely what we see, I think, in all of the court reporting community. We will give our money pretty quickly to help in a cause, but giving our time is where we are lacking, and certainly leading projects we are lacking. But I think everybody can step into that. We all have something that God has given us, some creative something, some gift that he's given us, and there's somewhere for you to help in these associations.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. You mentioned projects, so I know you have Steno Vader. You have a project called Steno Vader. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, absolutely. The Steno Vader is actually my baby that I have been kind of coddling for a long time now. And with that year I took off, that was one of the things I was able to work on. The Steno Vader is actually a Facebook community that I've set up where we want to educate the general public, including the bar and the judiciary. We want to motivate court reporting students. And most of all, I would love to be able to stenovate working court reporters. And what I mean by stenovate is the whole leadership and volunteerism thing, and just being able to see that we were created for more than just 225, because so many of us get our licenses or graduate from school and we stop right there. And so I just love to see all of us perform in excellence and be sure that we're all doing the best that we can and not settling. So that's kind of what the Steno Vader, kind of where it formed, or why I formed it. Since I started it, I've got so many other great things in mind for it. So I'm really excited about that project.
It does sound exciting. And I mean, I've watched your videos on Facebook. They've been very interesting and informative for people that just may be interested in becoming a court reporter. It's great for students and just general knowledge about court reporting. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. And the videos are very high quality. The audio is great, and it's really nice what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So Kim, before we sign off, before we go off the record, I'd like to know, do you have a book that you recommend for any of us who are interested in becoming leaders?
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually have one author that I really love, John Maxwell. And there's a couple of books I would recommend. One is Developing the Leader Within You, and the other would be Developing the Leaders Around You. He's really great with the leadership stuff.
Yeah, actually, I know, I recognize the name. I've seen plenty of his books, like at Walgreens, but now I'm definitely going to have to pick one up. I mean, just the title alone is inviting. Now, as your parting gift to our listeners, is there a quote that you would like to share with us that you feel will help us be better leaders?
Oh, yes, absolutely. For those of you who may be on the fence about going into leadership positions, I'd ask you just to consider this quote, that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
That is a beautiful and powerful quote. And with that, thank you so much, Kim, for being a guest again on the Lady Steno podcast. I wish you much success in your endeavors, and I will see you at the next convention.
All right. Thank you.